Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. It seems like almost every 12 hours, we've got a new weapon update or new tuning update going live in Warzone. Last night, we got a whole title update. I think it was the 1.50 update, and that fixed a handful of things. It added in some assets for the whole Festive Fervor holiday event and whatnot. We already covered that in a video earlier on today, but now, about 12 hours, a little over after that update went live, we've got another major update that just went live, a tuning update, a weapon changes update, and this is probably the most significant weapon tuning update that we've seen so far for Warzone Pacific. So today, we got a bunch of patch notes to go over as we go through it all. If you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, right around 57% of viewers watching are not subbed yet, and we are getting super close to 800k. It would be awesome if we could hit that before the end of the year. And each and every day, I'm always covering everything going on in COD, so this is your one-stop shop for that. So if you want to stay up to date with everything, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. But let's talk these patch notes. So we've got our December 15th update. For gameplay, first and foremost, some pretty significant changes here right away. Weapons that spawn across Caldera have been adjusted for the following: ground loot, supply box loot, and contract rewards. So, something that I definitely have noticed from playing Caldera so far, the ground loot builds, not super ideal. The chest loot builds, also not super ideal. Just the weapons that you can find that are not loadout weapons, the builds are weird. They're not super efficient. They just don't feel that great. So, they've already gone ahead and adjusted the ground loot and the chest loot. Huge updates there. Very glad to hear that. For bug fixes, they fixed even more collision issues with various elements across Caldera. So glitch spots, areas where you're not supposed to be, areas where you should be able to get to that you can't get to. So they fixed a handful of those. Fixed an issue causing placeholder images to appear in various store bundles. Fixed an issue causing a placeholder text to appear on the social menu. Fixed an issue with the Marksman Rifle Charlie. This is the MW car, where the focus perk would drastically increase flinch resistance. So this is basically the no flinch car setup. They've gone ahead, they've nerfed that. Focus is not going to give you nearly as much flinch resistance anymore. Fixed an issue where the Type 99 from Vanguard could down players in one hit to the upper torso. I'm kind of surprised they changed that, because when it comes down to it, it was just a bunch of attachments that you built together to get a larger one-hit area, better damage, vital. So it's kind of interesting that they went ahead and nerfed that, because it seemed more like of a build that was allowing you to do that, less than just the actual weapon. They also fixed an issue causing the PPSH and the Owen gun to deal more damage than intended. So both of those got a slight nerf as well. Now, when it comes to weapons, there's a lot of stuff to go over here. As many of the changes below pertain to recoil, we felt it was necessary to clarify the language used. So recoil adjustments, the recoil pattern has physically changed. It might go up and to the right now. It might go up and to the left. It might just go straight up. That's what recoil adjustment is. Recoil deviation is the amount of randomness in a recoil pattern. That is Bloom specifically. Then recoil increase or decrease, the magnitude has changed. It has a lot of recoil. It has very little recoil. You get the gist of it there. So for assault rifles, Assault Rifle Alpha, this is the STG from Vanguard. The recoil has been adjusted. They've gone ahead and they've changed the recoil pattern with that. Not a huge deal. The STG is pretty easy to use as is. Assault Rifle Charlie, this is the bar from Vanguard. The recoil has been increased. So you're going to notice more kick and more visual recoil when you're using the bar now, which makes it a little bit harder to use. For Assault Rifle Hotel, this is the Automaton. Recoil greatly increased. And the reports that I'm seeing over on Twitter from people testing this out already, it seems like they kind of made it very difficult to use, made the recoil pretty obnoxious. So this is our first big change, I would say, to the overall meta here. The Automaton was pretty much the go-to rifle from Vanguard. It might not be the case anymore. And also the second go-to here, the Cooper Carbine, which I would say was my personal favorite weapon in the game at the moment. They also nerfed this one pretty drastically. Maximum damage range decreased by about 150, so it's not going to be nearly as lethal at as much of a range. The neck multiplier was decreased, so you're going to have, a longer TTK there because of that. Lower torso damage multiplier was also decreased, and the recoil was slightly increased. So all around, the Cooper's not going to have as good of range. It's not going to hit as hard, and it's going to have slightly more recoil. I can still see this being used as like that sniper support close range SMG build, but for a primary rifle, it's going to be a little bit worse than it was before. Then on the Volk, they actually decreased the neck damage multiplier quite a bit. Same deal with the torso, the lower torso multiplier, and the ADS speed was decreased by 19%. So a couple of surprising nerfs to the Volk there. That really wasn't getting all that much attention in the meta right now, especially when you had the Cooper and the Automaton there, but they did go ahead. They ended up nerfing the Volk here as well. So the entire rifle category turned upside down a little bit. I think this makes a case for the XM4, the C58, the Farah, some of these older weapons even being more lethal at this point now. For the handguns on the Clouser, they nerfed the neck damage multiplier for whatever reason. It was a really strong pistol, just kind of annoying to use with the visual kick, but the Clouser got a nerf. The machine pistol, the maximum damage range was decreased, and the second damage range was also decreased, so that's not going to be as lethal at as long of a range anymore. The Rat, the neck damage multiplier was decreased. Same deal on the top break as well, so a lot of the pistols getting nerfs here, even though they're nearly not like that used, I would say. Like maybe for the Akimbos, they're solid on the machine pistol and the top break, but some surprising nerfs there as well. For the LMGs, the MG82 from Cold War, they added more recoil deviation. It's going to bounce around a little bit more. It doesn't have bloom because it is a Cold War weapon, obviously, but it's not going to be nearly as easy to predict anymore with that recoil pattern. And then on the MG42 from Cold War, the ADS speed was decreased and the recoil was increased. Is anyone using the MG42 from Cold War? What, these are some strange nerfs to say the least. For the G43 in Vanguard, they adjusted the recoil there. The flinch resistance was increased on the base car. Keep in mind, this does not affect the focus nerf from earlier. Focus plus this increased flinch resistance is not going to give you no flinch again, but they are making the flinch increase a little bit better here on the car. For the shotguns, on the combat shotgun, the maximum damage range was decreased and the second damage range was also decreased. So it's not going to be that one hit kill potentially at some further distances. The revolving, they actually increased the maximum damage range but decreased the second damage range. Then on the Graciado, the second damage amount was decreased, the third damage amount was decreased, the maximum damage range was decreased, and the second damage range was decreased. So quite a few nerfs to the Graciado there. For the snipers, the 3-line, this is an interesting one. The max and min damage were actually increased. The neck multiplier, though, was decreased a decent amount. The lower torso was also decreased. The upper extremity damage multiplier was decreased, and the ADS speed was increased. While these may seem like extreme changes to the damage potential of the 3-line, rest assured its attachments are still going to make it very good. But the 3-line, definitely some interesting changes there. It's going to basically just reward you for being more accurate and hitting headshots, I would say. On the PTRS, the minimum damage was decreased. The minimum damage range was increased, though, a lot. Up from 2048 to 4096. The neck damage multiplier was decreased and the bullet velocity was actually increased. The PTRS might not be hot garbage anymore. The car from Vanguard, they increased the flinch resistance. Same deal with the Swiss and same deal from the car from Modern Warfare earlier as well. Then on the Type 99, the maximum damage was increased, the minimum damage was increased, and the neck multiplier damage was decreased. That I think is also going to help out with that no one shot to the chest or to the neck, unfortunately. Then for the subs, the Owen gun had its recoil adjusted, so they changed that pattern a little bit. Same deal with the PPSH. Same deal with the Sten, but they also decreased the ADS move speed, so its strafe speed won't be as good. That was one thing that the Sten really had going for it. Then SMG Charlie from Vanguard, they also adjusted the recoil there. Then on the Thompson, they adjusted the recoil. The move speed was decreased, and the ADS move speed was also decreased as well. Then we get to the attachment changes to close things out. These also shift the meta a little bit. Ammunition on the top break. On the M15 shot shell, aka the snake shot shell, the max damage was decreased, the second damage was decreased, the maximum damage range was decreased, and so was the second damage range. So snake shots definitely got a reality check here, let's say. For gun perks, for steady, the firing move speed multiplier was decreased and the ADS firing move speed multiplier was also decreased, so steady's not going to be as effective anymore. For magazines on the 3-line, the 5-round fast mag was actually increased to 5 rounds instead of 3, and same deal on the car. The 8mm Clouser is now a 5-round fast mag instead of a 3, so that's definitely a solid increase there. But all around, like I said, some pretty significant changes to the overall meta here. The Automaton nerf, the Cooper Carbine nerf, the bar nerf. Pretty strange things going on here with the Vanguard weapons already. A lot of shifts in the meta when it comes down to it. I do still think that this makes a lot of Cold War weapons especially nice to use right now because they haven't seen too many nerfs yet. And also, I'm very excited to check out the ground loot updates as well. But all that being said, that is effectively what changed in probably the biggest meta update since Vanguard was integrated into Warzone and since the Warzone Pacific update. That's going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, feel free to do so. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.